It's that time of year again. Iron Chef Tucson and the Culinary Experience are back in full force. And if you tuned in last week, we got to meet this year's challenger, Javier Castro, who cooked some actually pretty delicious sea bass for us. You missed it, but it was delicious.
I'm glad to be here now, though.
I'm glad you're here.
Thanks for having me.
Definitely. And today we get to check in actually with reigning chef Danny Perez and find out if he has what it takes to keep his title. Danny, it's so good to have you back, man.
Morning, how are you?
Good, doing well. You always
good.
bring some delicious food for us. So we want to ask you, where did you get started as a chef as you start making your dish here?
Sure. So today we're going to do a little Mexican ceviche, and we're going to start with marinating of some shrimp. So your choice of rock shrimp. We're going to add some fresh lime juice.
Right, and so the point is that a lot of people may not know, but it cooks it, right?
It does.
And how is it that it cooks it without heat?
Well, there's plenty of acidity in the lime juice that'll cook through the delicious shrimp that we'll have for you. So my recipe will call for marinating the shrimp for about an hour to two.
Okay.
I like to add a little jalapeno or serrano peppers to the marinade.
A little spice to it.
So then you're going to let that marinate for a few hours before you actually start mixing things up.
And if I'm worried about the spice, can I take the seeds out of that, or would you leave them in?
I would leave them in, and then you can also alternate the space once you add the rest of the things that you're going to be mixing.
Great. Okay, so we've got a bunch of other ingredients here too, but you're not going to add that until it's done marinating, right? You would do the lime first.
Correct. So you saw the shrimp, it looked raw stage. Now I have the cooked shrimp. These marinated already. You could see the color differentiation as it already came through, right? So now you can start mixing in all of your other ingredients. And back to answer your question, you know, I started in a little restaurant called Cafe Melange on the east side of town as a dishwasher, and quickly moved into the kitchen before I was 18. So
into the big leagues.
That's how it started. Back to the ceviche. We're going to dump a little bit of cilantro, some fresh onions.
It's my personal favorite.
I love cilantro.
I can't live without it.
Everything. It's
There's
delicious.
a few people that don't like it, and I get it. I don't know the answer to that question.
Some people
either.
actually have a gene where it tastes a little weird for them on their tongue for whatever reason.
Correct.
They're weirdos, let's put it that way. Sorry to offend anybody.
I can't imagine certain dishes without it, though,
I know.
and this would be one of them.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Mexican food has to be hand in hand with cilantro, right?
Right. I agree, and all the spice and the lime. So, Iron Chef, I mean, what's it been like the past year since you were crowned the chief chef, basically?
It's been an awesome experience. It's been a great time for me and my family, and be able to share it with Tucson and the community, to really understand how awesome culinary things we have going on in the city.
Truly.
It's just blossomed. It's been great.
Danny, being in the kitchen is stressful enough as it is working in a restaurant doing food service, but tell me about what it's like to cook in a competition setting and how that's different.
Well, you know, I think that one of the things that I did last year was really not overthink the environment. You know, a lot of people say, well, it depends on the environment and what you're going to cook and how you're going to cook. I worried more about how we were going to present and the flavor profiles of things. And so the pressure on a smaller kitchen, and you're not accustomed to those specific things, it can definitely change it. So you got to be a little bit MacGyverish, you know what I mean? You got to be able to improvise when you can. And so if you don't have a piece of equipment that you are used to having, you got to be able to come up with something quick.
Do what you got to do, right?
Absolutely.
You overcome each problem, and you don't know what the ingredient is going to be.
We don't.
But you're given a list of how many.
Right. I'm very eager to see that list to kind of start to strategize what we're going to do.
I can't believe you haven't even seen it yet.
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay.
It'll be fun to see it.
And so what is your worst ingredient, you think, that if you got it, you would say, I have no idea what I'm going to do with this?
You know, I wouldn't tell you that I would say there's the worst ingredient in the world. I think that I'm looking forward to something that's diverse, right?
Okay.
To be able to put out 4 different items, 4 different dishes. I'd love to have it something that can really be infused with a lot of different styles, potentially, and or techniques. So I'm not necessarily worried about one specific thing. I just hope that it's diverse enough that you can enhance some cool flavors with it.
There you go. It's a good way to put it.
And as we go through this, and as you have to think about what you may or may not have, how do you plan for things without knowing really what you're going to get?
I think the ultimate way is that you have to be able to decide what you want to present. Are you going to do a certain cuisine? Are you going to do a certain flavor? Or are you just going to basically throw it all in a pot and see what comes out?
Yeah.
And that, believe it or not, that is an approach, right? Because I think that based on the environment, that's what you'll end up getting. So I think that, you know, last year for us, it was really about putting out what we knew how to cook. And I say we because I have a strong team, great sous chefs with me last year that helped us win. And so I think this approach this year is more the same. We're going to take a look at the ingredients, take a look at what we have to offer, and put our heart and soul into it.
Right, and you make a good point. It takes a team always to sort of get these things together. And so it looks like, is this done already here?
This one's pretty much done. You know, I showed you how to marinate that shrimp. We added all of the ingredients, tomatoes, onions, cucumbers, a little more cilantro. I have a little avocado for the garnish, as you can tell from the finished product. You know, a few people like to add maybe a little bit of celery, different type of pepper, potentially a serrano pepper instead. And how you garnish it and what you do with it is ultimately up to you. So it's ready for the tasting.
They say you eat first with your eyes, right? Is
You
that
absolutely
true?
do. Absolutely.
And especially for this competition, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think the judges will tell right away how we're going to be able to give everybody a taste.
Yep.
So you definitely eat with your eyes at times.
We're going to try some of this because I'm excited.
That's why I came here.
That's why you
today,
came today, is to get a little bite of something. So he's going to give us some chips with that too.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, my friend. And so really quick before we go, what kind of things are going on at the Star Pass Resort this summer? You
know, we just finished an amazing event this past weekend where we celebrated Mexican food all through Tucson. It was a great event, great attendance. We're going to continue to do much of the same. We have a great ritual every night at 5:30 that's all about tequila, all about celebrating the trio of cultures in Tucson, right? And that's what we do every day.
Gotta love
food,
that.
great staff.
Well, I got to tell you, talk about fresh food. This is marinated to the T, right?
And the flavor is unbelievable.
It's got that little bit of spice. It's got a little crunch.
It's a great
with that
summer
chip.
item, right?
Yeah,
it's hot out there. You want something fresh.
It's bold in flavor. That is delicious.
You know what would go good with this, which we didn't bring? A beer.
Yeah,
nice
ice
Stella
cold beer.
Artois beer.
Definitely.
But Danny, it's a pleasure to have you on as
Thank
always.
you so much.
You rock it, man. Best of luck this year against Chef Castro. I think you'll do good, man. Thank you so much.
Gentlemen, thanks, bud.
All right,
Danny,
of course.
thank you.
Great.
And you can watch Danny Perez defend his title against Chef Javier Castro, like we said, at the original Iron Chef Tucson and Culinary Experience on June 26th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Westin La Paloma. For more details, log on to ironcheftucson.com.